Welcome viewers, we are now sitting located right in the heart of St Kilda at the Esplanade Hotel in the Green Room, and we are joined by owner-operator, if we could call you such a thing, Doug Maskiell, who is the brains behind this organisation, the Esplanade Hotel. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's
Doug,
nice to be here.
great.
We've also got Phil here as well.
Yeah, thanks for the kind introduction. Although I must say, Doug, as I'm sitting here, I use the word man crush very occasionally, right? Very occasionally. But in the 20 minutes that we've been talking, are you okay if I say publicly that I've developed somewhat of a man crush on you?
I will take your man crush.
I feel very uncomfortable in the position where I'm sitting here.
I'm glad you're sitting here. There is no more iconic spot in Melbourne than the Espy Hotel. So on behalf of the GPT viewers, let me just congratulate you, and on behalf of Melbourne, for what you've created here.
Thank you so much. It's an amazing pub that I feel, pretty humbled to be in charge of for this period of its history.
Well, we're going to get stuck into its history in a moment, but viewers, we're sitting with a man that's part of a syndicate, and you'll correct me as I go along here. A syndicate of 4 mates, became 5,
Yep.
four mates from university
Yes.
that were bumming around while studying, getting part-time casual jobs, thinking, why don't we buy a pub? 4 mates bought a pub, syndicated it to a whole lot of other mates, and we're now sitting here with the Espy Hotel and 8 other pubs.
This is it.
Unbelievable story.
Yeah.
It's the story of, it's one of those iconic Australian stories too, if you think about it. Mates get together, do all right over the journey and buy the Espy. Is this like some fairy tale, or is it true?
We've been successful, overnight successes. It's just taken me 20 years.
Yeah.
And we're not talking
Yeah.
about small venues either. We're not talking about little corner pubs here. We're talking about some of Melbourne's most visited venues, things like the Garden State Hotel and obviously the Espy, which is well known throughout Melbourne.
You can probably, if you looked at all of our pubs, I think you could probably see the way that the 5 of us have grown up in our lives by, if you put our hotels in chronological order of development.
Yeah.
We started, the oldest one we hold is Holly Ava in Swan Street. It's a little bar, 230 people, a little bit grungy, a little bit cool, but then we've just, every pub has been a further development in where we think hospitality is going in Australia.
So there's 5 of you. Correct. Now I have a partnership of 3 people, and that's hard enough for us to always agree. By and large, we always agree. But how do you get 5 people to move forward like you have bar after bar or venue after venue and still remain what I presume is a close-knit sort of community amongst yourselves?
Absolutely. It's not easy at all, but we knew from the start when we first got together we had to protect our friendship and our relationships. Two of our partners are brothers.
Yeah.
So we had to protect that at all times. And if we're all getting on really, really well and understanding each other in the way we want to go together, then the business seems to miraculously go really well with it. So do we all agree all the time? Absolutely not. And if we did, there would be no purpose on having partners.
So it's 5 friendships that are a solid business unit. I love the point that you made before about the fact that when all 5 of you are on the same page, singing, if you like, then the business is operating even better. So if 3 are off the page but 2 are on it, you feel that it's a bit out of sync?
Well, yeah, I think messages get mixed to your team and to your crew. They don't understand, they might not be able to articulate exactly what's not quite right about the direction of the group, but they would certainly feel it. And so I think as soon as the 5 of us are on it and running to the same place, to the light on the hill,
magic happens.
Everything kind of flows along from that.
So before we talk in depth about the Espy, because I know I'm thrilled to hear the story, I just want to go back to the first one, which was the terminal,
the commercial
club. Where was it?
Nicholson Street, Fitzroy.
Tell us about that, because you were obviously telling us off camera about the fact that the 4 of you started it, but you actually syndicated it amongst your mates, because we were talking about the question, did you run the first crowdsourcing campaign in the history of the world?
I wouldn't go that far as the history of the world, but
it was a GoFundMe page.
But tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we were in our early 20s.
At uni?
Just finished uni.
Yeah.
And all working out what to do with our lives. Some of the other boys were in small entry level jobs and working their way through it.
Yeah.
And we thought we'd buy a pub.
Yep.
We wanted to do business. We thought we were overworked and underpaid like every other 20-something-year-old kid.
Yes. Yep.
But we thought, you know what, rather than just whinge about it around a beer, let's do something about it.
Yep.
A pub seemed like the perfect...
The logical choice.
The perfect choice.
None of you had run pubs.
I was in pubs at the time.
Right,
So
okay.
I was an assistant manager of for a pub group.
Right. So you had some experience.
I had some experience. I could pull a beer.
Great.
That was pretty much
You
the
pulled this
extent
one
of it.
perfectly.
Thank you,
yeah.
sir. And so we thought we'd do it.
Yeah.
Wrote a 75-page business plan for a pub that was,
Never
it
had
was
a
losing
business
money
plan.
and never had a business plan attached to it. But we knew it went to banks. Banks wouldn't touch us, and rightly so. We
Yes.
were 4 guys with no cash and
Yeah.
a dream. And so necessity is where the creativity starts coming in, right? And so you had to start getting creative about how you get money, what you do. And bar robbing a bank, and we don't have rich parents.
Yes.
We had to try and find money from somewhere.
Yep.
So we had the epiphany one day that what we could do is syndicate, 60% of the pub that wasn't trading or anything to a whole bunch of friends.
Yes.
At the time, if you had more than 25 shareholders in a company, it became a publicly listed company.
Yes.
So we had to keep it under 25.
Right. So
we had
24.
all of our friends ended up syndicating their
Off their
So what were
and
the shares? Do you remember the
$6,000
value?
lots.
So they were,
and so none of our friends could afford $6,000 lots either. So there was people chipping in $1,000 here and there. And
so just because it's a gorgeous story.
Yeah.
So you've got 24 mates. You can each take a $6,000 share, but because all the mates have got no money, one mate goes to another 5 mates and says,
absolutely.
So with
hey, do you want to share in a pub? Do you want to share in a pub?
Brilliant story.
Yeah.
It's an old-fashioned Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, totally.
Well, it wasn't
real
a
money in
Ponzi
real
scheme,
returns.
yeah, because it actually had a happy ending.
Yeah, and
But-
so we all lived above the pub. So that allowed us to buy the hotel and renovate. We renovated in 28 days for $30,000.
Right.
That
This
was
is 2000.
in 2000.
Right. Okay. Beautiful.
And we lived above the pub. There was any one time there was 11 people living above the pub. Again, we had nowhere else to couldn't pay rent, so we were just in it, worked the pub
Is
day
this
and
not a
night.
young man's dream to be in business in pubs
With your mates?
With your mates,
Yeah.
living above the hotel.
Yeah.
I mean, it must have been
No-
as a single bloke. Were you single at the time?
We went in single and very quickly became. Oh, we went in with partners and very quickly.
So
became
everybody
single.
had a girlfriend
It
at the
was-
start,
yeah.
but week 2.
It was
Gone.
hard,
Gone.
and more for workload than anything else, Phil. I tell you
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Can I buy
What
the
sort of
rights to
workload?
this story? Yeah. Can I buy the rights to this story? Because there's a movie in this for
It's
sure.
pretty crazy. It is. It's pretty remarkable. But none of it would happen without a core belief in each other.
Yeah, yeah.
So talk to us now. Obviously, that's the beginning.
Yeah.
Where do we sit now? We were talking off air about not only the Espy, but the group and employees and how many people are under. You talk about team.
Yeah.
What started with a dream of 5 young boys is now a business that employs how many people roughly?
Got about 700 people on the books.
Wow, wow.
Over 9 venues. There's more to come.
How's your payroll tax bill going?
Yeah, don't get me started on the luxury we have of employing people, which is payroll tax. 700 people.
Yep.
9 venues.
9 venues.
It's a
700
real privilege.
people, 9 venues. Is there any limit to this? Because ultimately you've now got this infrastructure that is running really some of the most iconic venues in Melbourne. This could be 29, 39. Could it be international?
Yes.
Right.
In short, it could. We've never wanted to grow or be bigger for bigger sake.
Yes.
It's never been. I never need to walk into any room and feel like or know that I'm the richest guy in the room, or I've got the biggest pub group in the room. Our egos don't stretch that large.
Yes.
So for us, it's more about the creativity, the capacity to do it, both financially and time-wise, with our lives and families and all sorts of stuff. Do we really want to be doing this all the time? Where else do we want to go with our lives, with developing, like together?
Yes.
That's far more exciting to us than what's your number of venues.
Yes.
Because we don't have one. We never have, and we never will.
So there's no grand plan here. This is growth by evolution.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
You can't give us a scoop. live?
No, I just because I don't have it.
Just checking.
Because one would assume, and we're not going to ask you any personal detail on camera anyway, but one would assume with 9 venues like you've got and 5 partners, one would assume that your living standards are high and you've got what you need now. So the question is, it's now about growth from an empire point of view, but you're saying no particular plan as opportunities arise, you'll look at them? Or is it are you being a bit modest, Doug?
No, not one bit. It's my point is, we've never circled a number of venues or a revenue figure or an employee number figure. What we have done is said we want to keep pushing ourselves in hospitality.
Yes.
We want to keep pushing ourselves in creative and design. We want to keep pushing ourselves in the way that Melburnians, but Australians, will eat, drink, and be entertained. So what they do with their leisure time. If we can continue being challenged by that, then we will keep doing it.
Yeah.
And the moment we go, oh, the pack's caught up, or we're actually just bored with this, we want to go do something else, then we do. But right now, we're sitting pretty happy.
So I have 2 great, sorry, you were about to ask. I've got 2 great passions outside real estate, which I live, breathe and love. I thought I'd put a little plug in. My 2 great passions are travel and hospitality, in terms of I really enjoy walking into hospitality spaces, whether they be hotels, restaurants, bars, cafes. So for me, I travel a lot and I eat out a lot.
Yeah.
And every time I come back to Melbourne, without being this die-hard Melbourne supporter, I keep coming back to Melbourne and I think to myself, we are world leaders in hospitality. So if that's my vision, where do you go to for inspiration? Which city is your most inspirational city, or is it a combination of things?
It's a combination, but let me say I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
We travel the world. Every year we'll go away and spend some time exploring the world in all sorts of hospitality venues. Mm-hmm. And while we get inspiration from the rest of the world, I'll always come back and go, my God, Melbourne has it good. We've got the best quality food in the world, some of the best design venues in the world, not us, this is Melbourne.
Yeah.
And we're really, really lucky. We're spoiled for choice in Melbourne.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have it any other way. Where do we go for inspiration? We'll travel the world. New York is massive.
Yeah.
London's massive. Sydney's wonderful.
Yeah. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but you and I would go to Sydney and see to the same venue. I think we'd see different things.
Yes.
Only in that I will pick up one little thing they do and think, oh, that's actually really cool. They get that.
Yeah.
Whereas,
is that because
the
you're
whole package
looking
might not
for ideas where he's looking to be entertained? Or
yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
I when I go on a recce, it'll be far less about the overall experience and more about some of the detail.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: Sydney do really large scale venues really
That's
well.
true.
Melbourne don't.
Yeah.
And so
we're much
we've
more
had to
intimate,
lean a
aren't
little
we?
bit on Sydney with the Garden State and with this specifically to say, how do you do a really large scale venue? How do you do multifaceted venue in the one and make it work? And Sydney do that pretty well.
So coming back to that's probably a good segue for talking about the inspiration behind the Espy, because walking through the Espy is like walking through kind of 10 or 15 different venues across a whole range of suburbs. I've loved walking in here and going, hang on a second, am I at I thought I was at the Espy, but actually I'm at 7 or 8 different places. How did that come about?
The venue's licensed for 1,700 people.
That's a massive number.
It's a heck of a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would that be right up there in terms of size and capacity for people with some of the biggest bars in Melbourne, if not the biggest?
It would be, notwithstanding pokey venues in the burbs.
Yeah.
And they're kind of two very different
Completely different beasts
things
altogether,
in my opinion. So yeah, it'd be up there.
Yeah.
I think. But to get 1,700 people doing the one activity at the one time is near nigh impossible.
Yeah.
So we knew we had to break down spaces, create different purposes for different people to come in and enjoy their time. So we've created 2 kitchens. One's a Chinese, Cantonese food.
Yes.
One's a mainstream pub dining experience. The amazing thing about the Espy is the ground floor is and the basement is pretty much all that the general public had seen for the last 50 years.
Correct.
So level 1 and level 2 were old hotel rooms. They were all derelict by the time we took it over. The beautiful staircase that everyone loves about the Espy, no one was even allowed up. So no public has been up there for 50, 60
So
years.
this room is a mystery.
So what we could really afford to do is on the ground floor and the basement be really true to the old Espy roots. That's heart and soul of what the Espy was in a modern context. So if we just did reproduced what the Espy was exactly, then I think you're destined to fail. So we needed to bring it into 2019, 2020. But we were really careful to make sure that we were so just kept the soul of this building, yet level 1 and level 2, because no one had ever seen it, we had a free hit. So we could actually get a little bit creative with what we do. Again, we were very sensitive to the Espy, but we knew that no one could come back with level 1 and level 2 and say, oh, but I had a great night at the Espy on level 1 before, because we know they hadn't.
Yes.
I mean, each room is quite different. Do the punters go from one to the other? I mean, I know I've been here a number of times and found it quite hard to get off my seat from the first place that I went to. I did come up here, but I would imagine if you're going to have Chinese food or Cantonese food over there, you're going to end up probably spending 90% of your night there, or do people end up coming to the bars and going downstairs and mingling?
We find a lot of people coming out of My Tiger at 10 or 11 o'clock at night will come down the stairs thinking they're leaving and just see the dance floor and they go, and they'll go one quick dance and then they're here for 3 or 4 hours. It's quite funny.
The accountants must love that.
Yeah, I reckon.
I reckon.
Cross-selling, Phil, cross-selling.
It's at its best. The general public have got a history of opposing anything until it's there. So we always say that, everyone loves the status quo because they're frightened of change. When change comes, they adapt very quickly once the change is there. So how difficult was it? Because you really, when you bought this, you were almost taking this jewel of Melbourne and you were almost the custodians of it.
That's right.
Did you find that when it became public that you'd bought it, and you've obviously got track record so the public could see that a well-known operator was buying it, but was there a lot of angst in the community about what you were going to do, or was it your background that made it easier?
No, I don't know. I don't know, but far less. We were expecting a lot of pushback.
Yes.
For us, if anyone Googled us and saw what the other venues that we've owned and what we've done to other venues, we thought there might be some pushback from the old, sticky carpet loving Espy people. But in reality, we were getting phone calls from all of them saying, just in full support, that they wanted something to happen here. This pub had been shut for 2.5 years, or 2 years since we'd bought it.
Also, when that development came, there were bigger problems for the Espy than somebody coming in and refurbishing it. This was touted as going all together. And then there's enough developments here for people, I think, to complain about that this was probably something that they would have jumped on and loved, the fact that it was going to be restored and retained.
I think so. That was the general sentiment that we were getting. Which was really surprisingly beautiful. We were really surprised by it, but it was wonderful that was the sentiment. One thing Vincent Paul did say to us, the owners, the previous owners, and we just bought the pub, just settled it. We were sitting downstairs, the 5 of us with Vincent Paul, who we got along famously with. Vince turned to us and said, just before he left, he goes, "One thing I've just got to tell you boys, as much as you've bought the Espy, you'll never own it."
Isn't that beautiful?
It's the pub of the people, and it just is. And it's not lip service when I say that. This is the most amazing venue in Melbourne, which is one of the most iconic cities in the world for hospitality. We're just really, really lucky that we're sitting here in it.
As you say that, I was thinking, imagine owning the Espy, and then when people say like, "What? Oh, look, I own the Espy." If your dad was a footballer, you could say, my dad was Alex Jezelenko. No, my dad owns the Espy. I mean, that is. You should see
my kids when they come in here. They walk straight behind the bar and pouring themselves soft drink.
As they should.
Walking around like they own it.
There are liquor license laws, by the way, that would stop them from actually entering the premises. But that's a whole other thing. Hopefully, they're not watching.
It's a challenge owning anything in the hospitality industry, because I'm told that it's opening night every night. When somebody walks in, they're coming in to be entertained in a whole variety of ways.
For the first time.
Is there any bigger challenge operationally running the Espy than it would be the Garden State, for example? And by the way, viewers, the Garden State is in Flinders Lane. It's the old Rosati.
It is.
And if you've never been there, viewers, that in itself is an experience
That's
as well.
a great fit out
Yeah,
there.
yeah, thank you. It's a wonderfully big, fun venue in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
And that was the real turning point for us to say, hey, if you could make a large scale venue work, and by and large.
So
it's gonna
operationally, does it work? Is this are there peculiarities to this one?
Oh, this one's bigger and a lot more multifaceted. We've got podcast studios, we've got a band room, we've got 2 kitchens, we've got a high-end cocktail bar on the roof. There's a lot to this one that needs to be executed perfectly in my mind.
Yes. Yes.
And that's added complexity, but we've just got a great team now who know what they're doing and can get it done. So, yeah.
So as I travel and see things, I look at this and I look at your operation. I haven't been to every one of your properties, but you've got a major presence in Swan Street, and in fact that Swan Street jumps really to your tune to a degree because you've got a number of operations.
I wouldn't be so arrogant as to say that. But
well, I can say it. I can say it observationally. Observationally, I can say it. Is there any reason that you couldn't replicate this now? Not the Espy, but is there any reasons that we couldn't see in 10 years' time that you had 3 or 4 operations in Bali and something in New Zealand? And would there be anything to stop you going to New York, knowing what you know now, if that was
nothing?
If that was an aspiration?
Nothing. If the desire was there from the 5 of us, or even one of us, if one of us just said, "I want to go live in New York," I think we should go do it. Then we'd probably be fully supportive.
Yes.
But no, we can. I think we've got a skill set that we can go anywhere. We'd never replicate anything we've done though, because I think the world's evolved from the cookie cutter hospitality.
Yes.
Even though what you're creating here is potentially far and away beyond what is anywhere else where you might go. Like if you pick this up and put it in New Zealand, and I don't know this for fact, but I'm imagining there isn't a pub or a hotel as good as this in New Zealand. If you replicated this, you'd still be ahead of the curve there, even though you're on par here.
Yeah, but I think...
Said with all due respect to our mini New
our Kiwi cousins.
It's not all shearing sheds and beer.
No, Queenstown is a wonderful place. Yes, in short we can, but...
Or do you need to be challenged more?
I think what we do is find a building and build the best possible hospitality venue we can within that building. So it works kind of the other way around rather than, hey, we've got this great idea, let's pop it into that venue, and more, hey, we've got this venue, what crazy stuff can we do with it?
Which is interesting because I don't personally know Chris Lucas, but obviously Chris Lucas with Chin Chin has made a big impact in Melbourne.
Absolutely.
And he's got obviously a lot of other venues. But I was reading an article recently where he said much the same thing. Often it's about the architecture and the iconic building and then finding the idea to put into it.
Yep.
Because I suppose operationally, running hospitality operationally has got some certain themes to it, but it's the building that often would dictate what happens next.
It would, but I give you this, there are a lot of really good looking empty venues around Australia.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of venues that aren't that good looking that are going really, really well.
So there's
it's not just by design. So you can't just design it and they will come. Hospitality doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So you need the most incredible people in the business on a day to day that are operating it. I
like what you just said there, that there's some great buildings and great venues that are empty, and we can all think of them, and yet isn't it interesting to go to a street and there's 10 restaurants, and 2 of them are going great guns and the other 8 are struggling, and everyone goes,
same opportunity.
Why is this? Food's much the same.
Probably they've got
DNA,
they've got the staff that are smiling.
Yeah.
That are happy.
Would it be that simple? I mean, we say that all the time.
But you can't fake it.
Yeah, well, that's true, isn't it? Yeah. So, from a staff engagement point of view, any secret sauce for you? Is it because the 5 of you are so impassioned and loving what you do that it filters down, or have we got some great staff free beers on Wednesday afternoon?
No, we don't have free beers on Wednesday afternoons. I don't know. I can't give you an equation that gives you success, because we have various forms of success within our business. I do know that the five of us are really passionate, we're really engaged, and I know that our senior people really appreciate it. I know that our casuals really appreciate it when we come in and say good day and meet them and know who they are. I think that makes a difference.
And speaking of that, there's so much going on now about the underpayment of hospitality workers. Is this something that is endemic from your point of view, or is this just something that gets a lot of press because it's a good story?
I can't speak for any other hospitality group.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I don't have my nose in anyone else's books. And
Yeah.
when we all see each other occasionally from time to time, the last thing we're talking about is who are you paying and how
Yeah.
much you're paying. So,
Yeah.
so I can only speak anecdotally for them, but I can speak specifically for us. We have never and will never pay cash or under the award. We set it from day dot. When we had 5 staff, when most of hospitality at that point was a bit of cash in hand,
Yeah.
we specifically just said we're not going to do it because I never want to get caught back with, but
For something
you've
so
underpaid
trivial.
me,
Yeah.
something so trivial. It's like,
Yeah.
and staff work, we pay them. It's just not that
Yeah, it's not
hard,
complicated,
right?
is it?
It's just not that hard. But then you do I think the award needs an overhaul.
Yep. Okay. Interesting. Can we talk about that? Are you okay
yeah,
to talk about
yeah,
your
only-
view on this?
Only in that it's so complicated with when you pay penalty rates and when you don't, and who gets paid and who doesn't, and what rate. It's really, really complicated. I've got a full-time staff member doing that specific job.
Yes.
Like a forensic
You know,
payment person.
Absolutely. Whereas if you're a one pub person or one cafe person or one restaurant person, owner, it's so hard to keep track of what you should pay and when you should pay it.
Just exploring that for a little bit. My local cafe,
Yep.
you go there on a public holiday and they say, I'm paying $55 an hour or something to my backpacking student that's would be working here quite happily if it wasn't penalty rate.
Yep.
And when I go through, in the real estate business, we're in 20 cafes a week having a meeting. So it's generally speaking, it's young students, generally speaking, that I see working in cafes.
Yep.
Do we need to overhaul this, that a small business like my local cafe should be paying $55 an hour on a Sunday or a public holiday?
I won't get into that specific,
Yep.
Lee, because for fear of not quite representing exactly what I believe. However, I will say this: the moment I'm not for underpaying,
of course not.
and I'm not for paying people less, to be perfectly honest. But the moment venues are shutting in lieu of employing people, the very idea of the award has just knocked its feet from under itself,
Yeah.
and therefore is not working.
Yeah.
So all I would say to that is there has to be an incentive for both staff and employer to open and engage. Therefore, staff are employed, they get paid. Employer opens his doors and there's trade.
Because the consumer, we
Otherwise-
live in a 24/7, 365-day world, so the consumer wants it. They want access
Yes,
to
but if an
everything.
employer can't afford to open,
Yeah.
then I think the system is wrong.
Yes.
Let's change the pace, gentlemen. This is not a Sky News financial TV show, and once my eyes start to glaze, I'm sure the viewers' eyes start to glaze. So we're coming into winter. This would be probably, and I'm assuming, I think we said this before, this will be your first winter
Absolutely.
here. This is traditionally, I would have thought, an amazing venue for summer, given its location with the beach in St Kilda. What is going to change in here, or how do you sort of change the pace here to make this now a winter destination?
We don't know.
You don't care. You just hope people turn up and wear warm jumpers.
It's not. No, it's not. It's far from that. So we're acutely aware we're St Kilda. We're beachside hospitality. You know what? People may not come to St Kilda in the middle of winter. People still go out in winter.
Yeah.
So if your venue's good enough and you're offering enough activity for people to come, I still believe people will come.
Yeah.
We have a band room. We've got the Gershon room, 600 people. There's a reason for them to come here. We've got an arts program that we do. We do arts events so people can come outside traditional pub hours to engage the venue on different levels. We've got a podcasting studio so people can come in and engage the venue for different reasons at different times. These are all not seasonal reasons to come. Now, people sitting on the footpath out the front drinking a rosé on Saturday afternoon probably may not happen in winter. So there's going to be a hit on trade, there's no doubt. But we're putting in as many different reasons for people to come as possible to ideally get us through the winter break.
Which puts a lot of pressure on you for coming up with ideas all the time. So you're not only...
I'm all easy if you've got some ideas for me.
Yeah, you're not in the hospitality business, you're in the events business
in
as
the
well.
entertainment industry.
Because you've got to find reasons. I know my local cinema, which is the classic cinema in Glen Huntly Road, they're always coming up with a new film festival idea because they've got to fill their theatres 365 days per year. Tell me, I was down Fitzroy Street. One of my favourite restaurants is DeSazio in Fitzroy Street.
As is mine.
Yeah, and you walk there and it's just so depressing, Fitzroy Street.
Yeah.
This will obviously help Fitzroy Street as this place matures and brings more people in.
Yeah.
Got any views on what could save Fitzroy Street, given it could be so incredible? What would need to happen there?
I don't think there's a silver bullet that can fix St Kilda or North Fitzroy Street. Now, St Kilda's a wonderful suburb. I love it.
Yep.
I genuinely love it. But we all know it's had its ups and downs, its history, and it's working itself, in my opinion, out of the hole at the moment. Fitzroy Street exemplifies where it's at. Mm-hmm. With a lot of suburbs, in my opinion, are led by the hospitality that comes into it. And then people will come due to the hospitality, and then prices go up, and everyone's happy. You guys are sitting in the big comfy chair at that point. So, with the new Stoke House, the Village Bell's opened up and done a wonderful job down there. We're open. These are all small 1% things that can get people talking and interested in St Kilda again and in Fitzroy Street again. I don't think we're too far away. The Gay Pride Centre's being built as we speak.
Yes,
that's a massive thing because that'll be an amazing building, bringing really eclectic group of people who really want to engage the community into St Kilda and into Fitzroy Street. I think it's a wonderful thing. Whilst some people love or loathe the block, I think it's made a difference to Fitzroy Street purely in a PR standpoint that is bringing more people in. People go, oh my God, they what, $2.5 million, $3 million? You guys were on it. You guys on it?
Not this one, no.
Right. $2.5 million apartments in Fitzroy Street. They're just signposts for a lot of people that go, wow, St Kilda's on the way back.
Yeah.
And I think more hospitality will come pretty soon. Hopefully landlords will change their expectations in order to get tenants in and rent in.
Yeah.
Now you've done a massive renovation here. I can't even imagine how much was spent, but was it outside the budget to put a blind on that window just there that's shining right in my face?
Do you know? It was. It really was. We talked about budget before.
I mean, my view's now wet. I'm now going to have laser surgery on my eyes.
And you know what's coming in just before summer? Blinds for both upstairs and downstairs. This is exactly
I love that, viewers. So we're not going to talk about what you bought this place for. We're not going to talk to you about the renovation cost.
But
but it was a lot of money. And the one thing this is the worst part about Jeremy. He can come on the tour of this place and he can pick the one thing that he didn't do.
I mean, I'm okay about it because on camera there's like
you're glowing. You're a halo
effect.
It's just the white spot.
Just the white spot, great, because I need more white spots.
It's ghostly.
Halo effect. Listen, Doug, we could talk to you all afternoon, and this has been just fascinating for us.
Can I just say, for those that thought that this was an entertaining show about Doug and about the Espy, and now you've turned it into a political stance on underpayment. How do we change the suburb of St Kilda? What do we do to Fitzroy Street to make it more pleasing for the punters? This is a show film about how good is this bar, pub, and how good is Doug for actually creating it.
Without question, that was going to be my wrap-up to say...
Well, it only took you 40 minutes to get there.
Not only do I have a man crush on Doug, but what you've done here is incredible. what you've done for the Melbourne entertainment and hospitality scene is also incredible.
Thank you.
Within the space of 20 years. Can we finish on a scoop though, Doug? Is there another one in the planning stage that we can announce right here, right now, on GPTV? What's the latest one?
We will be renovating another pub we've got in the city, hopefully next year. We've got the planning permit through last week, so it is hot off the press.
I was expecting him to say, look, we can't say much, but there's something really big on the horizon.
We'll have a go at the Waterside Hotel in...
Okay, so that's a
so
recent...
There is a scoop. There is a proper
there we go.
scoop
Hey,
here.
I'll give you that.
Look at that.
There
Look
we
at
are.
us, just
We'll
breaking
give you that. I'll
news.
tell you what...
Can we have like a little
I'm
thing
telling you, Rupert Murdoch will take notice of this scoop,
Absolutely.
and we will get our own show.
Well, you know, you do have his ear, Rupert Murdoch.
I do. That's a pretty exciting pub to
Yeah,
take
it's
on
wonderful.
because that's got enormous history wrapped around it as well. So you're not scared of a challenge, are you?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah,
It's,
good.
and King Street's an amazing street that I think is ripe for cleaning it up, and it's in the middle of Melbourne.
Yeah,
It's
brilliant.
midtown these days, so free to look around.
Brilliant.
Exciting stuff.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
For giving up your valuable time, and thank you for offering the 400 free meals here for our GPTV
For the
viewers.
first 400.
For the first 400.
Well, Jeremy,
Yes,
I bought and sold my first house through Jeremy.
This
so,
is a nice close. Just quickly explore
absolutely.
that one.
Well, there's not much to explore. He just said he bought and sold through me.
Okay, all right.
There it is.
We'll
Wonderful
note
agent.
there. Doug, thanks for...
In fact, in fairness, the profit that he made from his first sale was the start of this massive empire.
It was the first 2 pots.
If only, Jeremy, you would have said, listen, about commission, I'm just going to take a couple
take a couple of
shares. I'll take the first 6,000 in those.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations to your partners as well. Obviously, you're one of 5, and as you've said, when all 5 of you are on the same page, the business is singing. And for Melbourne's sake, may you continue to sing together for a lot longer.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
so much.
And thanks for the beers.
Anytime.
Beautiful.
Cheers.